Right now at 6 o'clock, the streets of Vatican City flooded as tens of thousands of mourners say their final goodbyes to Pope Francis. Tonight, the Holy Father is being remembered as the People's Pope. Good evening. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Jessica Moore. The Vatican says more than 250,000 people flocked to the Pope's funeral mass in St. Peter's Square. The Holy Father was then transported to his final resting place, the Basilica of St. Mary Major in Rome. Dozens of world leaders were in attendance, including President Trump and the First Lady, along with former President Biden. Now begins a 9-day period of mourning as the Catholic Church prepares for a new chapter. Tony Aiello is live tonight at the Vatican with the latest. Tony.
Jessica, tonight the quiet emptiness of St. Peter's Square is such a contrast to the funeral rites held earlier Saturday. The Pope's coffin was humble, but the pageantry that sent him to his final rest was majestic and filled with deeply meaningful moments.
In a packed St. Peter's Square, Pope Francis was eulogized as, quote, a pope among the people with an open heart towards everyone. The Vatican says 250,000 attended the funeral mass. Florida native Kelsey Gussie, an American journalist living and working in Rome, was tapped to give the first reading at the funeral mass.
This is such a huge honor to be a part of this momentous occasion. And so, honestly, also for me, it's a big way to say thank you, Pope Francis.
Following the funeral, tens of thousands lined the route to see the Pope's coffin carried through the streets of Rome to St. Mary Major, where Francis chose to be buried. It's a church he came to pray in often. Onlookers were visibly moved.
A momentous occasion, absolutely fabulous that I'm here, and one I can remember forever and ever, and I have goosebumps.
You're crying a little bit.
Yes, I'm crying. This triggers like a lot of emotion.
What was your feeling when the coffin of the Pope came by?
Thankfulness and a big blessing for the world.
Among the world's estimated 1.4 billion Catholics, many gathered at all hours to watch the funeral broadcast live, including in the Pope's native Argentina, which Francis never visited as Pope, but he's still revered there.
Just before the funeral began, Ukrainian President Zelensky and President Trump met privately within St. Peter's to discuss Russia's war with Ukraine. With Pope Francis's funeral now over, a period of mourning has begun. The conclave in which eligible cardinals will gather in the Sistine Chapel to elect the next pope is expected to begin as early as May 6th.
It is Sunday morning in Rome, and later this morning, another Mass will be celebrated in the square. Divine Mercy Sunday service led by Cardinal Pietro Parolin of Italy, and many will be watching. He is viewed as a leading contender in the upcoming conclave. Jessica.
Well, Tony, during this interim period between the Pope's funeral and that conclave that you just referenced, what is the protocol for governing the worldwide work of the Catholic Church?
It's interesting. An American cardinal is basically acting as steward of the church right now. His name is Kevin Farrell. He used to be the Archbishop of Dallas, and he fills the role known as Camerlengo. He makes important administrative decisions while avoiding papal prerogatives such as declaring saints or weighing in on doctrine. He will also oversee preparations for the conclave, which is likely to begin the week of May 6th.
All right, Tony, thank you so much for the coverage this week. A New Jersey family was in Rome during the funeral. As they were walking around the city, they saw the procession transporting Pope Francis's body to the Basilica of St. Mary Major. They told our Tony Aiello about that emotional experience.
I just couldn't believe it was happening while we were here, as I get a little emotional.
So to see the coffin drive by
Was just an experience I'll never forget.
What was the mood here when the
Somber. I thought everybody was very somber during the whole thing. It's sad to see him pass.
The family says the Pope's death is encouraging them to focus more on their Catholic faith. And a Mass at St. Patrick's Cathedral was held today in honor of Pope Francis. As Nick Caloway reports, the celebration attracted people of all faiths.
In a nearly packed St. Patrick's, a celebration of Mass in memory of Pope Francis.
I love Pope Francis. I think he's just been such a special addition to everyone's lives, no matter what religion or where you're at. He talks about peace and love, and he lives that life, and he inspires us and gives us hope, which we need at a time like this.
The Mass featured the chair Pope Francis sat in during his 2015 visit to Madison Square Garden. Worshippers of all faiths came to pay their respects to the people's Pope.
Speaking as a Presbyterian minister for myself and my husband, we greatly admired Pope Francis, and we felt that he spoke beautifully the message of the gospel of Jesus.
Putting forward the migrants, refugees, the poor, the elderly that are abandoned in nursing homes, all of these messages of putting the marginalized in the front so that we might be a more unified world, not just church, but world.
As the world reflects on the Pope's life and legacy, Archbishop Gabriel Caccia said in his homily that the world lost a friend of God and a friend of humanity.
You always ask prayers for you. Now it's our turn to ask you to pray for us so that we can follow in your footsteps.
That's a theme I heard a lot today from people who attended this Mass. They say it's important to learn from Pope Francis's life and carry those lessons forward. In Midtown, Nick Caloway, CBS News, New York.
And we will have continuing coverage on the mourning period for Pope Francis, as well as the process to select a new leader for the Catholic Church. You can watch the Pope's funeral in its entirety on CBSNewYork.com.